Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Dr. LeKyndra Smith. I'm the Health Sector Director of Project Transition Incorporated under the direction of Dr. Joaquin Wallace. This is our interview series where we interview high-performing athletes as it relates to their mental health and their transitions through life. Today, I have with me Otis Statum Jr. He is from the Bay Area, former baseball player. He is actually currently the Project Success Program Manager. Hello, Otis. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today? Appreciate you having me.
Thank you. I am well. I did my best with the introduction, so if you don't mind, would you introduce yourself to our audience?
How's everybody doing? My name is Otis Statum Jr. I was born and raised in Oakland, California. Spent some time during childhood living in Richmond as well, Richmond, California. I grew up running track, playing football. I just want to give a shout out to 3M Track Club and Coach Pittman. You know, they paved a way for a lot of young athletes to build the foundation of discipline. And then also a lot of my football coaches and just baseball coaches within the Bay Area. So that's a little bit about me. I went to school at Bishop O Dowd High School. I played baseball there, earned an athletic and academic scholarship to go to University of Nevada, Reno. So I played there for 4 years. Took a little break during the COVID pandemic year and then went back and got my master's at Sonoma State University. And I also finished my playing career there. So that's just a little bit about my journey.
Thank you for that. So, Otis, you named a lot of sports. Did you excel in those?
I would say I excelled in pretty much all of the sports. I mean, I wouldn't say I was the best because, you know, we had a very talented team and we all, you know, push each other to be better, be the best that we could be. So within track, I was a 2-time junior Olympic national champion in mini javelin, also placed in discus and shot put. I was more of a field athlete. And as far as football, my football career was kind of cut short, but that was a strong passion of mine growing up. And baseball was the highest level I took it to. And I got drafted out of high school. Didn't sign. I had the opportunity to sign. Got some calls in the 4th round. But at that point, we decided to go to college and get a higher education. My parents were big on that, as well as myself. So yeah, went to UNR, had the opportunity to get a bachelor's degree. And yeah, meet a lot of people that I wouldn't necessarily be around coming from Oakland, and just got to see a lot of new things and just experience a lot of new stuff. So.
That's awesome. So you excelled, it sounds like, in many different arenas athletically. Do you mind expounding more on your athletic journey as a baseball player?
Yeah, so diving deeper into my journey as a baseball player. So I mentioned that I started the game late, so I had to catch up a lot. That really put a lot of people into my ears, suggesting certain things and saying, you need to do this, you need to do this as a baseball player, instead of just kind of letting me be and develop myself. So I had a lot of people trying to mess with my swing and stuff like that. And I also want to add that I really didn't get to play until my senior year. And that was when we had a new coach come onto the staff, and he pretty much just gave me free reign. And within that year, I really excelled. I ended up getting MVP or Player of the Year for our conference, which was the WAC, Oakland, California. That really put me on the map. Not only that, but taking part of the area code games as an underclassman. I got a chance to play for the Milwaukee Brewers organization, and then also the Oakland A's organization my senior year, or going into my senior year. So being on that national level and being around the top prospects and really just being in that arena, that really put me on the map to get drafted and get calls within the 4th round. And looking back, you know, I understand that I probably should have signed that or accepted that phone call and signed, but everything happens for a reason. And I end up going to school, getting an education. And I mentioned getting hurt my sophomore year. So I got hurt my sophomore year, a year that I really thought I was going to take off after playing in the New England Collegiate Baseball League, which is like a step down from Cape Cod. So I got a chance to experience the East Coast and play with another group of highly talented players. So I really felt like I was going to take off my sophomore year, end up getting back, got injured, and then pretty much just got tossed to the side and was like, okay, I kind of got to work myself like back into rotation. I kind of got forgot about, or whatever you want to call it. I was coming back from an injury. So that was that. I don't necessarily feel like I had the right support or help in terms of getting me back to my optimal level of performance, being that we didn't have a hitting coach at UNR. So mostly everything was about mental toughness, and it was really just ran almost like a military, not like a baseball team. So that was a difficult transition for me because I shouldn't say I was used to that culture, but I definitely had people that understood the game of baseball from a Black perspective, people that have experienced the game in that way and kind of gave me tips and things of that nature, what to look for, what to watch out for, how to perform as a person of color on the field, and just having certain mental toughness that you have to take being that athlete. So I took it as though, like it's nothing wrong with it. Like it's nothing I haven't faced before. But I just realized a lot of tactics and just things that weren't benefiting me were taking place. And that's when I thought about, transferring at multiple points. But then I thought about my parents, like I pretty much don't have to pay for school. Like they don't have to come out of pocket. I don't have to come out of pocket. So it was a good opportunity, but then again, it wasn't. So it was like weighing the pros and cons because I knew deep down it wasn't the best fit for me. But it's like, do you be resilient? At what level do you be resilient? And like, what level do you kind of say, nah, this is not for me, and you find something else? And at that time, I didn't know the difference. And I just wanted to be resilient to prove like the coach can't break me or the coach, doesn't have control over me and things of that nature. Like I wanted to show like I'm still dedicated and like I can still be here, even though that probably wasn't the best fit for me in terms of trying to get drafted again and developing more as a player and as a person. So my journey has been filled with challenges. And then in 2020, that was my senior year. That was another year I really had plans to have a big year, and we only played like 9 games that year. Season got canceled. The world didn't know what to do. That was the first time that happened in some centuries. So it was just a lot of chaos going on. So I went back home and just started working because I didn't really know what resources were out there for me or who to connect with or tap into to find that next school to play for or just that next opportunity. So I took time to myself to really, get my mental health back right, get my physical health back right, and just take the opportunity to connect more with myself. And that's when I realized, I probably need to go back to school and further my education. So those was like the main factors of me going back to school. One of my homeboys, his name was Jonathan Velasco or John. He tapped me into the head coach at Sonoma State. So I just started networking to get to that point. I had went out to Arizona, did a couple of tryouts, just starting to get back in front of people's eyes because I did take a lot of time off trying to get back to myself. So he was a person that really helped me out and getting me the opportunity with Sonoma State. And from that point, I went to Sonoma State and just showed them what I could do and eventually earned a starting position. And I know it was hard for the coach because he'd never seen me play before. He only heard things about me. So I know it was hard for him when he already recruited certain players. So I'm very appreciative of that opportunity as well. That was the most fun I had playing baseball, probably since I played like Oakland Babe Ruth. And it just felt like, a game again. It wasn't more than that. And I just really flourished and just letting my talents and my abilities just take over because I had the relief of just making it a game and being fun, just having fun with it.
So you mentioned flourishing under a new coach. You had a couple changes in your career, and you had a lot of decisions, a lot of really important, vital decisions that you had to make. How important do you think appropriate mentorship would have been to you in those aspects of those moments?
I think it would have been very important. I think it definitely would have changed my trajectory, just knowing that I have somebody to bounce these ideas off of. Even having like a hitting coach, because that was really somebody I bonded with. Like my hitting coach, his name was Coach Muggs. Like that was somebody I bonded with outside of baseball. So like I looked at him as a mentor. Like he taught me like things just about life, just being a Black athlete, things outside of baseball. So having that was a major factor for me. And I didn't realize that I was lacking that until I eventually graduated and looked back and was like, man, I didn't have any type of the same support that I had that made me successful throughout high school and just having those connections. So a mentor definitely would have helped my trajectory and probably would have kept me focused. I mean, being somebody that already has gone through those similar experiences, they probably know what not to do again and what to do more of. So drawing on them would have been major.
What was your favorite collegiate baseball moment?
That's a tough one. There's a few for sure. But I would say my favorite collegiate baseball moment was my junior year. We're playing the Reno Aces, which is a AAA team. I want to say they're in the Diamondbacks organization. And this is like midway through the season we're playing them. So I'm not really getting the playing time that I thought I would be getting based on how I performed in the fall and how I performed in practice. I feel like my overall skills. So my first at bat, I'm facing a guy who ended up making it to the major leagues. I forgot his name, but he was a left-handed pitcher. And like I said, at this time, I wasn't getting playing time. So this was an opportunity for me to show myself. So I had to double down the line. Everybody was just going crazy and stuff because, this is against the AAA arm. And then there was also a lot of major league players on the other side of the field on that team. So I shook a lot of hands and they told me like, hey, keep doing what you're doing. And a lot of them went up to the coach and, asked him like, why is he not playing or like, why is he not out there? So I feel like that gave me more of a momentum to get on the field. Yeah, that was just a key memory for me because it showed me that like, hey, I can still perform at this high level.
So that's nice. And you were able to perform against, in essence, professional baseball players. Do you have a similar moment collegiately where you played against other collegiate players where you felt like your performance validated you?
I would say my freshman year, I wouldn't say it was necessarily at my college, but my freshman year, played a summer in Wenatchee, Washington. It was a high-level collegiate baseball league. I want to say top 3 West Coast league. So we had a lot of top guys. During one of the games, I hit 2 home runs, and I feel like that really solidified like my confidence knowing that I can play at this level and I can excel at it and I'm not just a freshman. So that really helped my confidence going into the fall where I actually had the highest batting average on the team. That really boosted my confidence and solidified, hey, like I'm supposed to be here and I'm supposed to excel.
So we were just made aware of a moment where you at UNR where you all played Clemson and you were able to get at bats. Can you tell us about that moment?
That moment at Clemson was major too, because it was another opportunity for me to show that like I deserve to be out here and I can play with these guys. So I want to say I got a base knock up the middle in my first at bat playing them. I want to say the game was on ESPN and the crowd atmosphere there was crazy. That was like the closest thing to playing a professional team in college because they take baseball very seriously at Clemson. So just being a part of that was a huge deal. So my first at bat, I go up there and I probably haven't seen live pitching in probably like a couple weeks. So I'm a little bit nervous, but then I'm like, all right, I already prepared for this. I already done seen arms better than this, going in high school, being around the top prospects in the country. So it really was just about my timing and just getting the rhythm playing. First at bat, I want to say I get a base knock up the middle, and then second at bat, I flew out, and then third at bat, I walked. And in my third at bat, I got taken out of the game, and I was just so confused because I felt like I was just, having a decent game so far. I was seeing the ball well, and I really felt like I was going to do something major in a close game because I think it was only like 2, and we might have been up at the time, but the coach was playing like matchups, and it was a right-handed pitcher coming in, and I'm a right-handed batter. So they brought a lefty in to pinch hit or pinch run. I forgot which one it was. But at that moment, I was just like, man, I don't understand. Like, you kind of have to give the player the confidence to succeed by, like, if they're showing success, in my opinion, you got to leave the player out there for those moments because I felt like I was going to do something major that game. But overall, it was a great experience.
How did being pulled in that moment, how did that impact your psyche? Did that have any carryover into the rest of the season for you?
Yeah, I would say that was a moment where I was probably already checked out, but that was a moment where it was like, even if I have success, it's like I still don't get the same, opportunity. So I was definitely checked out at that point. That kind of carried over into a lot of situations because at that point, I just felt like I couldn't do anything right. I'm performing well in practice. I'm performing well in the fall. one of the best players out there. Like, I came into my freshman year, the top ranked incoming freshman, and I didn't get pretty much any playing time. So it was almost just like they was just messing with me. But I tried to, stay resilient through it all. But that was definitely a time where I was just checked out, and I was like, is this the right situation for me, or is there something better for me? But like I said, a lot of people were encouraging me, mainly my parents and family, to stay because of the scholarship.
So question. So we know that baseball is actually, from my understanding, is not a head count sport. So that means they can split the scholarships, right?
Right.
And so baseball teams have massive rosters. What I think you can have like 47 people on a roster, and you're splitting scholarships. And here it is, you have a full ride. So you've taken up money for one scholarship that literally potentially could be split amongst 10, 15 other people, right? So how much of that, plus some of the team dynamics, do you feel played a part in your treatment, how you were coached, or anything that significantly impacted your career and your performance while you were struggling, particularly at UNR?
I would say the struggle mostly came from not being on the field. I mean, in my perspective and based on the numbers that we had within the clubhouse, I was one of the top performing players each fall. But by the time season came around, it was just almost like a shift in energy in terms of who was going to be out there in the everyday lineup. So I would say just that dynamic, it seemed like it was more than the actual performance. Because like I said, I proved myself. I mean, my teammates knew it, scouts knew it, other coaches knew it. I had scouts come out just to practice to see me play because they knew like I wasn't playing in the game, which like that kind of made me feel some type of way because I have scouts coming to practice to see me, but I can't get any playing time within the game no matter how successful I do within practice. So like I would go weeks without pretty much seeing live pitching or just getting at bat, and then kind of just get tossed in the game like late inning to pinch hit or pinch run. It's like, it's hard to be successful in that way. And I feel like that kind of took an effect on my numbers as a player, because usually if you're an everyday player in the lineup, you're getting upwards of like 200 to 300 at-bats. And I want to say my first time having a 100 at-bat season was at Sonoma State, and that was like barely over 100. It was like 108 or something like that. So like, for me, the game of baseball is a game of rhythm and timing and repetition. So the more you play and the more you get out there and play, the more you're going to pick up. That's why most major league players, they get really hot during the summertime because they already accumulated about 200, 300 at-bats. They have a rhythm for the game at that point. Like, it's in their timing and their eyesight is down. They can track the ball easier because the more you play, the easier it becomes. That's just what I've learned from the game of baseball. Other people will probably tell you the same, but the more you play, most likely better that you'll do. So it was just little tactics and techniques like that, like playing me every 2-3 weeks and then kind of expecting me to succeed, which was like pretty much unrealistic.
Totally get that. It's weird and it's strange when the vibe is off because you can feel it, right? So here's my question, and this is a tough question because we all react some type of way, typically when we feel like we're being mistreated. But in those situations, I'm still a firm believer in that I am absolutely accountable for what I do. People can mistreat me, but I can't do anything particularly about them mistreating me. But I'm also not accountable for them mistreating me, but I am absolutely accountable for what I do. And so in those moments where you're feeling like you're being mistreated and you're not being treated fairly, how do you keep yourself from becoming the villain in your own story?
I would say at that time, I definitely was outworking a lot of people. I just started to dive deeper into the work. And like I said, that's part of me being resilient, because at those times I was thinking, hey, maybe it is me. Maybe like I'm not picking up on something. So I did take the time to do the extra work, ask the coaches, hey, like how can I get on the field, or what do I need to improve at? I didn't really, kind of soak about it. I just kind of took it on the chin and was just like, I need to outwork everybody. And then certain circumstances happened, like I said, where I felt like I was gonna have a major year, and then the injury happened, and then kind of like COVID happened. So it was just unfortunate circumstances. But looking back, I mean, I had every resource. I can always say I could have tried better and done more. I think everybody can say that. But in those situations, I definitely tried to outwork everybody and be the first to do everything. Fitness tests, conditioning tests, the weight room, base running, outfield drills. Like, I'm trying to dominate, I'm trying to compete to get on the field. And it's just like, it still wasn't panning out. So that did take a effect on me mentally, and it probably exuded through my energy, but I tried to stay strong and resilient through it.
At some point during your collegiate career, you realize that, okay, maybe my professional career is kind of hit and miss. It may happen or it may not happen. Can you explain like the moment where it hit you that maybe this may not work out? I may not get drafted again. I may not make it to major leagues or minor league baseball.
I would say I always had the hope, but one significant thing that kind of like altered my confidence was getting hurt. I got injured my sophomore year, and I really felt like that was going to be a breakout year for me. I tore my labrum and my rotator cuff, so I wasn't able to play my sophomore year. I ended up redshirting. I had to relearn how to throw, and my mechanics were a little bit different. So that kind of altered how I felt about myself as a player at that time. So it took me a while to get back to who I felt like I was as a player. And I always knew like I had the skills and the intangible things to become a professional baseball player. But it was a lot of, I would say, challenges I had to overcome. But I always felt like I had the confidence and the ability to play professional baseball. It was just about getting the opportunity from my perspective.
What's the biggest lesson that sports has taught you?
The biggest lesson that sports has taught me, especially the game of baseball, is that no matter what, you always got to get back up. No matter how many times you fall, no matter how many times you fail, you got another opportunity around the corner. So you just got to be prepared for it and be in the right mind state to accept the opportunity and attract the opportunity. That's something that would be my biggest takeaway, is that it's always another opportunity and you just have to be prepared for it.
That's great advice. As an athlete, at some point, you're aware that your career is going to be over. You're going to retire in some capacity, whether by force or by choice. What transferable skills do you believe that sports teaches you that can aid you in life?
The main skills that come to mind are leadership skills, relationship building, mental toughness, persistence, and just being adaptable. As an athlete, we have to adapt and be versatile. So I would say those are the main transferable skills that we could take to any workforce and excel. Being an athlete, we have high determination to get the job done. So those are definitely the key skills.
So what helped you get over the hump and transition into your career?
I would say definitely getting connected to the right people. You know, Ms. Jamel has been a mentor, and so has Dr. Wallace. Definitely had an opportunity for me to really grow and figure out what career path I may go down, and just learning the skills that I can take into any company or any workforce. I felt like just having that opportunity was the biggest thing, because if you don't have the experience or knowledge or somebody to kind of guide you in that right direction, then you won't necessarily know about what's the next step. So they played a major key in my transition out of sports. And then now I'm fully transitioned. I'm into my career, and I'm always transitioning. But I would say my sports career has come to an end. It's been bittersweet. I definitely missed the game. Excited for the next chapter and the next opportunities.
To you, in your own words, what is Project Transition? What does that mean?
To me, Project Transition means supporting the next generation and really building a community that's going to create a successful culture within higher education, mental health support, career development, creating a college-going culture, just building the foundation and the building blocks to help the next upcoming generation succeed. And I feel like that's really important, especially if we have the knowledge ourselves to give that back. And now we're developing a program again in a new capacity where it's going to be a mentorship program for youth, the young adults like myself that are going through those transitions of coming from a playing career to their professional career, just offering any guidance and experience that we have, whether that's to support them in mental health, career development, interpersonal development, just as a person. So that's kind of how I got to that point. I feel like I am somebody that embodies Project Transition, being that I transition daily and I went through those transitions, so I can draw from that experience. So that's kind of how I got into the program manager role. I can speak from my own experiences to develop what we feel like will help the next generation become successful and to overcome those challenges.
Considering what you just stated, that Project Transition means to you, how has Project Transition helped you personally to get where you are today?
Personally, I feel like Project Transition has helped me by creating opportunities to where I can excel in my own development, whether that be getting better at communication, being more creative, being more outspoken, just putting me in those rooms to where I can fully be myself and they can offer any support, which they have been offering a lot of support within my development. And I feel like just overall, just my development as a person, putting me in rooms, like I said, creating opportunities, knowing that it's a trusting relationship and they want to see me succeed and I want to see them succeed. It's like a mutual beneficial relationship. And it's just, I think it's great to have as a young Black man and just somebody that goes through struggles daily like anybody else. It's great to know that somebody supports your vision and then also can help out in that capacity of what you want to do with your career.
So at some point, again, you've transitioned and you're no longer playing baseball. Life has happened, right? In particular, have you had any major life events that have happened between your transition from baseball to your current role? Have you had any major transitions or life circumstances that you had to deal with that, you know, you really probably needed some guidance or would have affected your trajectory in life?
Yeah, I would say there was a couple major things. So I graduated from UNR, didn't necessarily get to walk the stage or anything. So it kind of just felt like, did I really complete college? On my way back home, someone very important in my life passed away. So that was one major thing. And then also after that, I was, like I mentioned, I was trying to get back into the game of baseball. I enrolled in the NBA program. And then I had my daughter. My daughter was born, so that was another thing that kind of altered my trajectory in terms of my second go at becoming a professional athlete. And it's definitely, you know, could have been possible if I really would decided on that. But at that point, I was more secure in myself, like understanding like I want to raise my daughter and be there for her like every step of the way. So I didn't want to miss any time at that point. But those are two things that kind of altered my trajectory.
How were you able to balance being an athlete, trying to reestablish your career while also being a father?
It was definitely a juggling act. Definitely had to tighten up in all areas of my life. I had to eliminate all distractions and really key in on what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be as a man and what I wanted to accomplish. So I really had to sacrifice, you know, hanging out with friends, doing certain activities, and really just put all my energy and focus on being a father, being a provider, protector, and getting what I said I was going to get done, which is complete my master's in 2 years and go back to school and finish my playing career. So those are just things that I wanted to do. I mean, I could have folded and, you know, went the opposite route, but I knew that's what I wanted to do as a man.
So considering your motivation is wanting to take care of your family, what's your dream job that you would like to have to support your family?
I would say my dream job is to work within Major League Baseball, particularly helping out the youth with their development, overall player development, being able to, you know, help them as a mentor, because there's really a lack of representation within the Black community in baseball. And I feel like it wasn't always that way when I was growing up. And before I was growing up, we had teams where everybody on the team was Black and they loved playing baseball. But somewhere along those lines, it's like a lot of players lose passion for that game or just certain opportunities don't pan out. So I just want to give back to that community. I just want to grow the game of baseball within the Black community and let them know like they can play baseball. Like you don't have to just play football, basketball. Some of the greatest players play baseball, or some of the greatest athletes, and then obviously some of the best players were Black. Really instilling that within them and then just teaching them the knowledge. Like we had our own league as well, which was the Negro Leagues. We were, you know, naturally talented in the game of baseball as well. So that would be my dream job, just because I had the opportunity to help a kid that probably felt like me within the culture of baseball and tell them to keep striving beyond that, beyond just the culture of it, because it's bigger than you. And the next kid that sees you, they're going to get inspired to be you. So it's just pushing the game forward, being there for the next generation.
Speaking of baseball, From my understanding, you just received an accolade. Do you mind expounding on that?
Yes, I've been accepted as one of 35 participants to attend the Major League Baseball Saber Analytics Conference that's taking place. And I think this is a major step within trying to accomplish my dreams and get into the door with the opportunity. So really the opportunity is just to learn more about the technology of baseball and how's it going to look in the future with the growth and how analytics, like I said, certain technology. So learning more about that, but then also having an opportunity to network and get in the right rooms is going to be key. And I got that opportunity by applying into a program called the Diversity Pipeline Program, something that I didn't know about until late last year. And I've kind of just been keeping tabs on that because the main focus is getting underserved representation into the game of baseball and developing more of the culture for minorities.
Congratulations on being accepted to that program and being able to attend. How important do you believe upskilling, new skill acquisition, conferences, etc., how important do you believe those things are to your personal development in your career?
I would say they're very important for my personal development. Always acquiring new skills is something that I'm very cognizant about, and being a lifelong learner, that's something that just continuously goes into your development as a person, just trying to be a sponge because we don't know everything. And there's people that can offer, certain tips and guidance, just new information that can help you be better professionals and a better person overall. So having access to those skills is major, and really taking the time to learn them for yourself and understand them in your own perspective is something that is huge for my personal development.
So how have you benefited from career development?
I would say I've benefited from career development in spaces such as Project Transition, Project Success, and they've helped me kind of just get out of my shell and creating opportunities to where, I have to be outspoken. I have to have certain communication skills or styles, and then just putting me in a room where I can ultimately create myself. So I don't have any type of creative control over me. It's just ideas that I have, and having the confidence to bring them to fruition with the help of a team. I think that's a major thing in development too, understanding that myself or anybody else, we have our own ideas, and just having the free range and being creative about those ideas is important.
How has Project Transition aided you in your development and supported you in your development as it relates to any job task or any contract that you may or that Project Transition may support?
I would say they really developed me in being highly adaptable, just having the skills to multitask, and then also the skills to problem solve, use critical thinking as well. At Project Transition, we're not a company that necessarily holds your hand. So it's almost like you kind of have to, have the skills, or if you don't have them, develop them, which will definitely be developed through those situations. So definitely analytical skills, communication skills, critical thinking, problem solving, and being highly adaptable are some of the skills I feel like I've taken away from Project Transition within my development.
That is awesome. Otis, what nugget would you like to leave the audience with?
One nugget that I've recently learned lately is trusting yourself. I would say that's a nugget I want to leave you all with, because certain people can influence you that may take you off your own path. But if you have the faith and trust in yourself, and knowing that, hey, you can be whoever you want to be by just putting work in and being dedicated to it, not giving up at the first sign of adversity. So just trusting yourself and believing in yourself. That's one major thing that I try to instill every day.
That is awesome. Well, we'd like to thank Otis for interviewing with us today. I am Dr. LeKyndra Reds Smith. This is Project Transition. Feel free to check us out at ptransition.org. And thank you for watching or listening.